Happy New Year, everyone.
Hello, Haley. How you doing?
Pretty good. How you doing, Gary?
Good.
Hey, I want to ask you, both the TQQ is actually on a sell signal, so it's actually not invested right now.
No, it's cash. Yeah.
It's cash. Okay. Because I looked at the indicators, I was like, wait, it's sold in December and it's just still being sold. I was like, I guess. Except Fast is now doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah, it's on cash. It was looking fairly good for having a buy signal on tomorrow until today. If we have a big reversal tomorrow, I think it's going to stay in cash. We'll see.
Then it's just high volatility.
Keep your eye on FNGU, though. That's had a nice pullback. And eventually that's going to come back in favor again, I bet.
Yes. It's always in cycles, right? For me, it's always energy. Energy all of a sudden had a multi-year sideways action. Then all of a sudden, energy became the start and everyone wanted to be in it.
Exactly.
It's just that's how the market goes. I believe in the regression to the mean. And when things go sideways for a long period of time, it's bad to go up on an industry scale, not individual stock. Like
Right.
IBM, did it really
Yeah.
go up after the crash? I guess it took a decade, but yeah. I'm just cleaning up all my browsers. I have way too many tabs open.
How many screens you use?
I've downgraded to
Two. I've got two as well. I had three for a while. It's just a little too much.
I can put up like 20 charts, and I'm not watching 20 charts at the same time. Two is fine. Simple.
Of your two screens, how many charts have you got on those?
I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I might actually have 40 at times.
That's a cry for.
But usually that's the max, and that's usually not during live market hours. It's actually after market hours, because that's when I look like bonds, stars, rates, and a whole bunch of different indicators. I just go through because I just want to. I like books, so how a book goes is you just stare at it and just pay attention to see how it goes. So that's how I like my 40 charts. What's up, BD?
Do you use Market Surge for charting, or what do you use?
I use Thinkorswim, TradingView, and Market Surge. Each one has its purpose and different data.
Market Surge works great on a tablet for me when I'm able to sit outside, but I'm in Nebraska, so you got about 3 weeks outside, and the rest of the time we're either roasting or freezing.
I'm in San Francisco. They said it's always the same weather here. It's like 70s. It gets cold when it gets like 40s or 50s, but that's not Nebraska.
I'm still wearing short sleeves at that.
Oh, yeah. That's what I do. And people call me crazy, but you're from Nebraska. I'm like, yeah, that's short sleeve weather. Can everybody see my... Yes. I'm getting better at Zoom. So I look at my own presentation while I'm presenting. It's a little better now.
Have you ever used, or do you have a Stream Deck?
What is that?
Each button you can associate with a different series of keystrokes. When I'm trying to use OBS Studio, I can switch between monitors or whatever else I want to do for keystrokes. When I was doing a lot of repetitive development stuff, I would have one key that was copy, one that would create a new table or a new view or a new proc or whatever happened to be programming. And it works awesome for doing Zoom or broadcast where you're switching between screens.
I used to program macros onto my keyboard for different desktop views.
Exactly the same thing. I can reach over without looking, and I know what top left, middle left. It's got 15 keys, and I know by feel where they are.
Oh, there's actually a physical tactile feel.
When I was flying, part of the reason we'd stick with one plane or one version of a plane is you would get the feel. I could reach over, the throttle was here, the trim was here, and the engine mixture was, so you could know by feel without having to look down.
That's amazing. I miss planes. History about me, aerospace engineer, design planes. And it was a fun little thing I did way back when. But I specialize in fuselage. So it's all about aerodynamics of just the little main body.
Yeah, but that was what made it cool for my world.
That is true. I'm not sure how wings are actually being developed now with AI. I wonder if you can actually go into aerodynamic flows and model it a lot quicker than using MATLAB. Probably.
Yes, when Jack Northrop was about to die, They took him into the skunk works and showed him the B-2 bomber. He was in a wheelchair. He was very close to death. The thing that was amazing is that it was 172 feet tip to tip, which is the same exact calculation he came to with a slide rule when he developed the original wing back in the 50s. There are so many things that he and Kelly Johnson were able to do with slide rules that computers are going back and verifying that those two were doing it right by hand.
That's insane. Hey, Gary, if you don't mind, I'm going to make you a co-host in case there's extra noise in the background, so you could help me mute people. Okay, we're a little past 4 minutes past, so let's get this started. Thank you for all 20 participants here. Hope you can have a happy new year. As a reminder, please do your 2025 stock analysis, because that's where you're going to learn the most. It's not from listening to me. It's not listening to the gurus. It's actually listening to your own trades and see how you did. It's going to do that back study for your own trades that helps you, makes you stronger as a trader. So this presentation is provided.
When you do the leverage ETF thing and you get to the part where it shows like the 9 or 10 additional leverage ETFs, can you make sure everybody understands those are buy and hold and not the strategy results?
You got it. You are also free to chime in because Gary is the expert for leverage edge. He created with Floyd, who was our previous meetup leader, and Gary has pretty much taken the reins and doubled it, tripled it, quadrupled it. So let's get back to the disclaimer. So this presentation is provided for educational and informational purposes and should not be considered investment advice, an endorsement, or a recommendation to buy, sell, or hold any security. I am participating as a volunteer, not getting paid, and not receiving any compensation for this presentation. All investment involves risks, including the potential for significant financial losses. Viewers are encouraged to perform their own due diligence, evaluate the personal financial circumstance, and consult with a qualified professional before making any investment decisions. Neither I nor any affiliate individuals assume responsibility or liability for actions taken based on information presented here. Why listen to me? I'm young, elephant out of the room. I have been investing in 20 years in the early 2000s. Actually, I've been investing more in the early 1990s where I bought like GDSU. I haven't updated my NVIDIA gains yet, around 7,000. I really enjoy gathering people together and learning. I think that's one of the fun points of life, meeting people and growing as a person. So, disclaimer, I have not traded since July of last year. Many of you guys have been with me. I made a bad trade in December 2024, which affected my trading results. So you see a 10% gain in a difference of a month. I haven't traded because of a negative trade I had. This is getting close to my year-to-date performance, which is about 55%. So even though I only traded for 3 months, I did okay. Welcome. I'll give you market updates. I'll give you some resources. I'll give you some growth stocks to watch that I'm watching. Yes, I only traded 3 months of last year, but what you don't see in the background is the amount of times I watch the market, how I make sure that I'm still keeping in touch with the market. Yes, Floyd makes fun of me. That's like, Haley, when you get back in the market? I'm like, soon, Floyd. And I was like, did you get back in? Nope. We'll talk about major events, leverage edge strategy that's developed by Gary Taylor. We'll have an educational topic, which is the 2025 overview and recap of news, events, top stocks, which stocks made 500% gains, 400, 300, 200, 100. The next meetup is going to be on the 3rd week of February. This is going to be a change from the 2nd week of February because I'll be in Spain that week. And I think I should take a break and just push it back a week. So general market update. The last follow-through day was December 19th, 2025. IBD says 80 to 100% invested. The distribution days is 8 on the NASDAQ, 3 on S&P 500, developed by Steve Sweats, is green. MMTS, which Steve Sweats does use, is yellow. And Rupple, who I newly follow, he's saying it's selectively open. What this means, there's a little bit of uncertainty in the market. We're seeing where growth stocks, where money is going, where price action is going higher, and where there's volume confirmation. That is the basis of Rupple and multiple systems that I personally follow. Enough talking. Let's do some polls. So the first one I'm going to launch, it's going to be, how invested are you right now? Go ahead and get your pens and papers out. And let's see where we're at. As you all know, I'm 0% invested. We have over 50% participation, which is great. Keep it going, everyone. I'll give you a preview. It's actually a pretty skewed bell curve right now. You can probably guess what's the skew right now. It's probably leaning towards the general market consensus, which is closer to 100%. I'm going to give about 15 more seconds for this poll. If you're driving, please do not answer. If you're at your computer, please give it a little check mark. In the future, I can always put to see how invested are we as a group compared to how the market is performing and how we do as a group feedback. I think that'll be pretty cool because we consistently have a few dozen members on the meeting every single time. So I'm going to end the poll. The poll has ended. It looks like most of us are invested. There are ranges similar to me where it's 0 to 20% invested. Most of us are 60 to 100% invested. Does someone want to unmute themselves and see what you guys are invested in? How do you feel about the market from anyone from 60 to 100% group, which we have 14 people.
I'm one of them actually at just over 90%, but that's almost all in gold and silver ETF.
Beautiful. Nicely done. Both of them are doing fantastic, especially assuming you invested a little bit earlier on. Who else? Anyone else? Carl, I see you're on. How are you doing, Carl?
I'm doing well, thanks.
How's your investing going these days?
I got a little worried about some stuff to do with a few option trades. The market seems too goosey for me at the moment to make a decision more than about 2 or 3 days out.
I'm hoping Floyd will join us probably in an hour because he still might be at work, but he's doing a lot better now. Dave, how's your trading coming along? Let's go ahead and go to the next poll. Where are you joining from? Yes, we have people from Alaska. What up, Carl? Exactly. Because originally this is an Alaska meetup group. So it always makes me smile when I see people from Alaska. Hey, we have someone from Europe. I'll be in Germany and Spain next month. Maybe we could meet up. I'm going to give it about 10 more seconds. I'm going to end the poll in about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And here's the results. We have 30 participants now, and we're now going to get into the meat of things. My internet is lagging a little bit. So I'm glad to see some people are able to join us from Alaska because it's during work hours. Thank you for joining us after dinner. Highly appreciate you guys. How is the NASDAQ doing? This is the daily chart. I just pulled this today. Kind of year ended right over here around this little gray line. You guys remember the opening day of January 2nd? It was a little bit nasty, it's a little bit volatile. And the NASDAQ has been seeing a little bit more up and down. It's like in a boxing ring. You don't know who's going to win and just going back and forth. If you look at 2025, it's like we should be invested from April all the way to the end of next year and be like, this was absolutely phenomenal. But more recently, since about end of October, there's been a little bit more consolidation. Volume has definitely been a lot drier in the past month of December, but that's to be expected because it is holiday season. 12.9 billion, that's triple witching day. If NASDAQ was a little triangle that's going sideways, getting a little bit skinnier, S&P 500 is actually a little skewed, whereas trying to go higher. It's almost an arrow pointing at the 2 to 3 o'clock direction. It's actually going a little higher highs and higher lows. Even with this AI talk, we're not seeing it inside the tech stocks yet. We're seeing a little bit more in the past month. Inside the S&P 500, we're getting a little more broad. This even relates to the Russell 2000 today in the market. It wasn't the best day ever. NASDAQ went down, Russell did well, and Russell is making a new time high. So maybe small caps are the ones to watch. Maybe IPOs are the ones to watch. We should always make our watch list on the weekends, plan the strategy and execute the strategy. Because sometimes life gets messy. Does anyone have any questions, any comments on the 3 major indexes? I'm gonna change the slides. We're not gonna talk about my watch list. Let's go to market search. Let's get some group opinions on what stocks you want me to talk about, what stocks you want the groups to analyze, either trades you're in, trades you've done in the past. Let's get started. Is there any stocks you guys want me to take a look at?
Because we talked about it last time and people had time to get in the stock.
I laugh because I remember that. I'm gonna adjust my screen a bit. This is the world's tiniest chart because I have an extra large screen or an extra large personality. You'll guess, just like you were saying, we were talking about it probably right over here on this week, right? And we're like, oh, this actually looks like a great stock to do. So what happened? Let's say you were drawing a line and you can see it slowly creeping up. You can say you're drawing a trend line over here and it broke through. Or you can say, hey, I'm going to buy it right at breakout, which is right here. If you planned your trade and executed, that was a phenomenal day at 27%. Yes, today is a little more volatile, but how I like comparing is how's it going to NASDAQ? The NASDAQ was in the upper portion of the range, and it's doing a little bit more poor, but on a percentage basis, it's doing phenomenal. Let's take a look at the weekly. Sandisk is one of the top performing stocks of 2015. As you can see from this absolute monster from August all the way to November. In just 3 months, it's done phenomenal. Any people have questions, comments, would like to say where they're traded or where they bought, sold, if they're still holding?
I treat the one that's hard to lease because of the dollar.
Okay, we're going to move on from Sandisk. BE is one of the darlings, natural gas electricity generation. Thank you, Brian, for BE. How's BE doing? On a weekly basis, it's finally making money. The sales are increasing. Earnings is increasing. The analysts are going up.
Either.
We're going to take a look at owners and funds. Some major owners are finally coming in. Contra Fund bought a starter position. Price Horizon has a full position. Columbia has held this position for quite a while. Made a significant gain. Let's take a look at the daily. See if there's any buy points. This does look like consolidation. We look like this is a first stage base. Is this still a first stage? They consider this a second stage base. I would say this is a second stage base and it's forming potentially a third base. I'm not sure if I would consider this a little cup for our investing. So if this was a third stage base, we went to the second stage, first stage over here. How is it going? About a month, 4 weeks. It's a little short to be a base. The moving averages are all turning up. Even the 50-day finally turned up. And we had a phenomenal gap up day. So you have gap up buy rules on phenomenal volume. Looks not bad. Let's see how NASDAQ is doing. NASDAQ volume, it's a little below volume today. So there is definitely some above average interest today. There's gap ups happening. There's price above a previous mini high. So honestly, looks pretty darn good. What other stocks people want to talk about? So we'll go to one of my IPO breakout screens. You can always edit this to 2026 because I don't want to see too many old IPOs. We can see how IPOs are doing by just going through everything. I usually go for daily until it hits a certain date. Let's go through consolidating first few days up. It's going sideways, definitely an IPO base. Anderson Group, not very good on the end factor, but hey, the price action looks great. Metline, good for end factor. It's been up a few days, it's going sideways. I'll actually put a 4560 alert for myself. This is how I do the IPOs. Goes up, goes down, the volume is getting a little bit lower. This is absurdly weird. Yeah, JM Group, I don't know what happened there. Hey, it undercuts his IPO base. IPO price was at 25, open up lower. Sometimes you go over to the mutual fund ownership, you'll actually have some people there, but most of these stocks are just niche. Need some help, need some time to base. Let's go. So like this one, a lot of the funds did a really good roadshow, got a little too into my IPOs.
Well, the bit pain on interior level.
So MU, definitely one of the dog.
Take a look
Take a look at the weeklies first. I'm also going to go into ownership. Good ownership, top funds. One thing just popped into my mind, even though it's top funds, the A might not be the top anymore because William O'Neill has since passed on. Things might be changing just ever so slightly. WD. And Dow Jones Industrial owns IBDF. And this guy's flies high. From the follow through date in April, it has went from about $69 to 367. So about 5x almost. So if you held Micron, it might be sitting quite pretty right now.
Get a bit because
Earnings 2019 was a phenomenal year. They finally broke past previous years. We're seeing the earnings graph is going up and up. 2026 is going to be absolutely insane. As we talked in our last meeting, RAM is absolutely ridiculous. We looked at Amazon for 32 gig RAM, and it was just so expensive these days. So what I did was I talked to some of my friends who actually sell RAM and repurpose RAMs. They've been in business for 20 years and they've never made so much money. They never had so much interest. They never had so much people just wanting every single part of RAM, from all the way to the chips, to the boards, to everything. Back to MU. Sales is great. Earnings is great. Is going above 50 sales, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 13, 18, 20, 21, 22. Absolutely phenomenal. And we already know what's going to happen on daily chart. It's just no ants indicators, meaning institutional funds are buying and they're still buying. Isn't this amazing? You have days when you're watching the market, it just hurts because it's, oh my gosh, I have a gap up. It's going higher. And the day, oh, that was the love of the day. Then you close your laptop, go on vacation for a week, come back. Oh, I'm doing okay. Until these days hit. Then I'm like, oh, I'm doing phenomenal. And it goes up here and repeats. Absolutely amazing. It's hard to hold on days like on 11/21 because when you undercut the 50-day moving average just to go back up. That's why some people have a rule of when I undercut the 50-day moving average, I only will sell at the close of the day. Sometimes it undercuts and it keeps dropping lower. So that's an art. And that's how sometimes patience works with you and against you.
But it depends on what cushion you have. If you got a right entry, and if you
Yes.
have 20, 30, 50% cushion, then you can withstand that drop.
You bought it right at this first stage cup and handle breakout, whereas ran from 60 to 129 at 100%, went sideways and you bought at 128. Sure, I'm still up 50% right here, but I was up 100% over here.
You can trim your position and get back in once it goes above.
I have to admit, I'm terrible at trimming partial positions in binary, 1 or 0. Next one. Thank you, Richard, for suggesting SoFi. SoFi sales, absolutely beautiful. It's making more and more money in financial services in San Francisco. Earnings, 2 cents, 5 cents, 6, 8, 11, 12, 14. I don't like seeing this red arrow. It's going on a sideways consolidation. This looks not bad, honestly. It's been a tough week. Institutionals, JP Morgan Chase, large cap growth. They have a full position, 35 billion market cap. They're doing a lot for banking accounts at this moment, which was 2 days ago. So it was on Tuesday. How's the volume? That hurts. The volume at 81%. And then it's going to the sides. This does look a little bit like consolidating. It might be doing something. The 50-day moving average is flat. It is doing some consolidating. If you can draw imaginary lines and it breaks up above.
It's probably undergoing accumulation. If you go to a weekly chart, this consolidation is happening above its previous all-time high. You can see that right there. Or near when it was IPO'd, it made an all-time high and then it went down after that. Right now, the consolidation is sitting at that level and institutions are probably accumulating it. If you look at the last 3 weeks closes, they are extremely tight. So somebody's accumulating it big time. You don't want to miss a breakout on this one because once it breaks out, it'll shoot.
Lots of good things.
All they have to do is say AI a couple of times in their earnings call and that's it.
My underwriters are now all AI and my all banking systems are AI. So we fired every single human employee.
Yep.
But that is not close yet because I know in 2025, even Sam Altman said, hey, we're going to do agentic AI. Didn't happen. I've tried it multiple times to replace people. Does not work. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing your name right. 1,000,000,000 to 1 single molecule platform detecting precisely quantifying genetic targets. I do not know this company. I love it that's doing sales. I love it that's actually making money. So that means they have a product. There's no fund ownership. Let's take a look at the daily chart. Can you tell me a little bit more why this company interests you?
It's an IPO, and it has been reading about it and found it interesting.
Did you?
Mainly in the medical industry, and it's innovating in a certain area. Don't know the details. I read about it, and then I'm like, okay, let's follow it and see how it goes. It might be in the IPO base, so it might take some time.
What the heck? I'm just gonna check out the website really quick. They do prenatal, so pregnant people, and also in cancer. So this feels like a more advanced 23andMe instead of just doing DNA testing. You actually get actionable insights from it. That's something I'm gonna put into my buy list. Next one, I think it'll be used for elaboration. We discussed this a few times. Frito is doing absolutely phenomenal, right? Chips. Weekly chart wise, it's having a tough week. When you're reaching an all-time high, you break up above 10% up and have a giant reversal on top of another weekly reversal. These two, it's not skyscrapers, especially on the earnings. It seems like that happened. This just hurts. I'm pretty sure it was going to be an earnings beat and it got hammered. Anyone have any idea?
I have a big cushion on this. I don't
Yes.
know if it's forming a base or if this has really topped and it's going down. So I'm not sure. I don't think it has really had a
If you have a very big cushion and you don't want to capitalize on those gains yet and you want to wait and watch, you can just buy put option, long-term put option, if this is a long-term position for you, and then sell a long-term call option on the higher price point. So that way, if it moves up, you make more money. If it drops down, you don't have to worry because your capital is secured with your put option.
I see. I have never dealt with options, so I'm a bit scared of doing that. Perhaps that would be a possibility. So far, I have 140% gains on this. So I think I waited too long. I should perhaps have sold it.
I think you're still okay. Sitting on gains, it's okay. So what Yogesh is talking in another language is he's saying just buy insurance using options.
He is talking about buying a put. So it's a put spread or a call spread?
It's basically the current floor price for this one is around 130. It seems to have a basing over there. So let's say you buy a put at 120. It drops below 120, you don't have to worry because you will get your capital back.
So it's buy a put?
Right. Let's say you want to hold the stock till the end of the year. You can just buy next year January put at 120 strike. And then you can also buy a call option at, say, I'm just picking some number, 210 or 250. You sell a call option, not buy a call option. So you're basically buying a put, that is your insurance, and then you're selling a call, which will fund your put.
With a strike of 210 or 2?
Essentially, the ideal way to do this is you go and check the option chain. If you go and check the option chain in any of the platforms for next year, January, and then look for the call option between 210 and 250, which has the maximum open interest. So that call option will have liquidity. And you sell that call option, but you need to have 100 shares if you're doing options. One contract equals 100 shares. So what happens is you have insurance at what was the price we just talked about? Around 120, right?
120.
So 120 is the price. If the stock drops below that price, you don't have to worry because you will get that money back using your put option. If the stock goes up and it goes to 250, and by the time next year comes, it is 300, then your stock will be taken away because you have sold a call option. The beauty of this trick is, let's say by June, it goes to 300. Now your call option, you can just roll it to 300. So there are many ways to do it. As you said, you're not familiar with it. There are many free option classes, or if you have a friend who can, please do that. Don't do it
Okay.
without understanding.
Thank you. I'll look into it.
BD also in the chat says, warning, the options are very thin on Credo. So, as Yogesh and both BD said, be careful. Consult someone who's really good at options, not me. Let me try to connect you to Floyd. Maybe he'll be able to help you out because I know
Oh,
he's
yes.
a lot better than me at options. And
Yeah, I
he
know
does zero
Floyd,
TCD.
yes.
So, is it going to go up? Nobody knows. But what I can tell you is, just like Yogesh said, there looks like there's a floor here. It looks like it's trying to make higher highs, but this is a lot of action back and forth. The
Yeah,
great
it's a
thing
lot
about
of-
it, watch the market, watch the overall market, and see how they respond, see how your psychology is, and you can make your decision from there.
Thank you.
Gary Popovich says Zeta. We've seen Zeta. I haven't looked at Zeta in a minute. Breaking out volume 100%. That's beautiful, honestly. There's blue skyscrapers everywhere. There's a red here. This is near the bottoming. It's reversal. It's going up. Sales is increasing in the 300s to 400s. Earnings per share, it is going from 6.9, 16, 6.9, 14. It seems like it's a seasonal stock. For some reason, even though it's a cloud platform, breakaway gap, 160, 22 from 10. That's fine. As the initial climb goes sideways. And now, going up. Looks fantastic. Bottom breakout day. It's actually doing some nice moves. Looks absolutely phenomenal. All the moving averages are above each other, making more money. Or New Horizons owning it. That's a good stock. I'm adding this to see how it's going to do over time. Every single stock we discuss, I'm going to add it to this list. New holdings. So not as similar to Zeta. The volume is phenomenal at 100% plus volume. That's definitely something to take note of. Weekly sales are 24, 32, 41, and it's increasing a little bit seasonal also, which is okay. Earnings line is going up and up. Beautiful. Volatility has been contracting. This is a little bit of a stair stepper because it's going upside. So it might be a little bit hard to hold depending on your trading style, but that's pretty good. Along with the blue dot, that means it's making all-time highs. And we have Contrafund that is offloading ever so slightly, but who knows what they're doing. Richard Arnold says light. Lumenton holdings gave me a shock a little bit. What the heck? I was like, shouldn't this be in the top stocks of 2025? Because what do we close at? 84? And then it reached almost 400. 84, 400. That's 4x. So how does the stock do? Sales going great. 400, 500, 600, 700. Quarterlies, 50, 80s, $1. Yearly was stuck in the range of $4, $5, $6. We're still within the same earnings range until 2017, which it breaks out to $8. And we definitely see it on this line right over here. It's definitely making a reversal back. I need to take a look at the monthly chart. It's not making more money than before, but the price action is absolutely ridiculous. This has some excitement behind it. It's in the top industry. That would help in number one industry. So this one, I'll actually go into the industry, see what's going on. Is every single stock in this industry just going phenomenal? I just want monthly charts that's actually holding up the whole sector, and it's just going bonkers. Anyone holding it? Anyone want to make comments on this guy? Absolutely bonkers, this stock. Brian is requesting Cena, Justina, which is same industry, right? So just like Lumenton, from 2020, end of 2024, it was about 80, 86 until the end of the year, which was about 241. So that's about 3x. Dang, that's insane. What a crazy year 2025 has been. Large cap growth, Fidelity, house sales, house earnings. I don't expect too much more from it, but similar. Earnings is going sideways. There was a little drop in 2024, but in 2025, they seem to be getting back to earnings. Sales is definitely going up, and earnings is going up once again. They were in the $2-3 range. Analysts are saying that this one's going to be making a little bit more money. I almost want to watch Cena over Lumentum. PSLV, physical silver bullion. Silver has just been absolutely insane. Yogesh, you talked about how gold and silver tends to be in line, and the ratio of gold to silver prices is highly unbalanced, and that's one reason why silver is coming up.
Silver is poor man's gold.
I don't trade commodities, but all the macro factors point to it.
One thing that's positive on silver is keep in mind that a fraction of 1% of your computer boards on the circuitry silver. There is no silver leaving China. They're trying to get as much as they can from production.
Is that why there's rumors about Greenland and everyone wants to go over there? Can you make money in Greenland?
Politics in 2016.
Because that's all that matters is, can you make money from the natural resources in Greenland? It's hard. We can discuss more stocks later. That's my list that I prepared for all of us. Hello? So what am I watching? Bloom Energy, EchoStar, gold. It's just doing well. I don't trade it, but I do watch it because utilities, gold, all those secondaries, I like to see how the market is shifting as a whole, how all those different sectors are happening. Still phenomenal. Technology, the more gold miners and gold, because they're still doing phenomenal. I can't believe I broke past like $300 for the price of gold, and now it's over 400. Research, bio, Vertiv, Google, the tech sectors. AppLovin, Palantir for solar energy is still a topic we talk about. Palantir hasn't really corrected too much yet. AppLovin, absolutely phenomenal 2024. 2025, not as much. Tesla, fun fact I heard about it is that only 5% of Teslas has full self-driving, which is their highest software tier, which costs about $8,000. So there's a huge revenue generation stream for that. Biotech, if you don't know which one to buy, because there's a lot of different regulations, I still believe biotech and consumer discretionary are the two ones that Bill and Neil made money. So I always will watch it. Semiconductors doing great, like AMAT, ASML, all can be on your watch list. It's on mine. Avago, Broadcom, Walmart, moving on. We are graced by the presence of Gary Taylor today. Thank you for being here. One of the things he wanted me to mention, buy and hold. You're buying and holding at 33% from January to December. You made 30%. But with the leverage edge strategy, you would have made 81%. All these buys and sells, it's where the action was. So from almost mid-Feb to mid-April, there was no action. All the buys and sell entries, I just wanted to give you the big picture. Gary did it by saying outperforms by 48.9%. He did that by simple math. You had a 13.3% drawdown. You're going to see, I believe, I'm in the office. So great. Cost level or under exit, but there's probably a buy point here that just didn't work out. But 2025, phenomenal year. Which one performed the best? December, not so much. Nail, which is home builders, which is my specialty, didn't perform so well. Real estate wasn't so hot. Now it might be getting warmer. Who knows? Stocks will do well. If you look at performance year to date, stocks did the best in the 1 year period. January was a good high, went down in April, only to go up all the way to December. People ask me, can you give some updates? This is my trading view screen. This is my financials. Oh, that should have been one line, but that's my home. That's my home builders. That's my financial services. So what's currently in cash right now? TQQ is in cash. It's sold in the beginning of the year. Financial services are still in action. Now, if you guys don't have this yet, just be aware of major economic events happening. So tomorrow, jobs reports, January 13th, December CPI, January 13th is also when JP Morgan Chase. It's going to report January 14th, PPI, 15th, which is Friday, retail sales, January 20th. Take a break. I think January 20th, it's a Monday. I kind of messed up there. Sorry, that should have been January 19th is MLK Day. My apologies. It is January 19th is MLK Day. Markets are closed. Take a break. Have fun with the family. Text some friends. Give me a call. Let's hang out. Or, hey, if you don't want to hang out, let's just do our 2025 stock analysis because it's going to be almost near the end of January. Then January 28th, the FOMC meeting happens, 11 a.m. my Pacific time. It gets released and get to see how the market moves. And on January 29th, personal income. And I would just like to add, we're going to have the January jobs report and also early February. Any questions, comments? What happened in 2025? I like this chart. It gives me the stock prices, the major event through the month. It even gives me like the daily volume. So I just like having this. I know the words are small, but when you get the slides, take a look. This is the general market from AI markets to Trump's tariffs to AI in every company. How did the stock markets do? I think this is best representation of the stock market on a 1 year basis. How did it do? Nvidia, 23%, Google, 64, Amazon, and it just goes into different sectors. Can you tell which one did the worst? Asset management, some of the biggies, and also real estate and healthcare plans. UNH didn't do that great last year, but hey, look at CVS. Okay, let's have a fun little game. How many stocks do you think got over 500% gains in 2025? The answer is 1. How many stocks had over 400% gains in 2025? The answer is 1. How many stocks had over 300% gains? These are larger caps. It's 1. So let's take a look at the list. Who's our favorite? SNDK, 559.4%. I took this off Investors Business Daily because I love their list. They do a good job. This one doesn't get talked about a lot, but Nutex Health. This one we definitely talked about, right? Throughout the year. We can see their comp ratings, their EPS, relative strengths. At the end of the day, price dictates a lot of action. Even if you're in gold mining, GFI, Angelo Gold, AU, good job. Western Digital, good job. You guys invest in these stocks. Maybe you didn't make 500% in Sandisk. Maybe you made 100%. Give yourself where credit is deserved. Do that analysis on that trade. See why you bought it. Even better if you keep an emotional, psychological journal to see how your mentality was that day. See what you can do to repeat it. If it was a negative day and you're stressed out and bought a stock against all your rules, hopefully you won't be that stressed out the next time you buy it. But at least you made some profits.
Which one is Sandisk for 2026?
Who knows?
How do we figure that out?
What was your question again, Sylvia?
How do we figure it out? What's the next new Sandisk for 2026?
My advice is you don't figure out what's the latest and greatest stocks. I'm happy with a 50% gain. I care about the rule of compounding. If I can make 25% every single year in 10 years, I've made a pretty darn good account. I probably quadrupled my account in 20 years. In 30 years, I'll be pretty darn good if I keep on making 25% a year.
So how do we do that? What's the best way to figure out?
One of the ways you can do this is take this list and go one by one and see where that run started. All these stock didn't do 500% in a day, right? Or 400 or 300 or 100% in a day or in a week or in a month. It took them several weeks, several months. And along the way, they built several bases. So we'll take the top 20 and go through one by one and see where the actual run started. And what was the financials at that point in time? How was the volume at that point in time? This information may not be easily available, so you may have to dig in and go through some backlogs and figure out where you can get this information. But if you can do that homework, then you can find the next Sandisk.
We'll do that after this presentation. Let's all learn a little bit. and not just from me, from everyone in this group. There's much better traders here than me. And I'm sure some of them had done more phenomenal than 50% last year. So PAX frequency. So this is the list of 100% plus. There's about 69 of them. It just happened to be 69 stocks total. Use this list like AppLovin's right here. I think in 2024, AppLovin was number 1. And now it's number 64. But hey, 108% gain. That's pretty good.
Any chance, do you have
Mhm.
this list in an Excel file?
Yes, I can.
Can you share it with the group? That'll be really helpful. Thank you.
One, I know everyone loves talking about this. So I was like, you know what? Let's just talk about it. How did the Mag 7s do? Google outperformed everyone. This is year to date at the end of November. The percentages are very close. This is roughly the year to date 2025 performance of the Mag 7. So Google phenomenal, Nvidia phenomenal. Everyone else lagged below the market because we talked about if you did a buy and hold strategy on TQQQ, you made about 33%. NASDAQ was up about 20% over here and 16% over here. Microsoft and everyone else just lagged the market just a tiny bit. But that's how the Mag 7 did. I'll send out the slides. My email is dailyinsights@gmail.com. Just send me an email. I'll get you information. I've uploaded all the videos to YouTube. I'm always down to give you as much information to help you as much as possible. We don't have a super long meetup today, but I'll be gone for the second week of February, visiting some of our friends in Europe. I'm changed to the third week of February, which is going to be February 19th, and it's going to be 5 p.m. Pacific time. Any questions, comments? I'm going to start doing some stock analysis based on this 100 list of what Yogesh says. We're going to go through number 1, see what happened in 2025, and see where Spaces breaks out in bulk. Cool. Let's get started. So most softwares will have this feature where you can go to the calendar and you go to when it happened. This is one of those IPO stocks, which is a spinoff. They were private, then public, and now it's back to public. We can see on a day-to-day basis how it goes. IPO day, not too hot, honestly. It closed in the bottom range at 36, went up to a high of 44.
So you may have to do this for a long time because it really didn't do a whole lot from its IPO day. The high was like 57, the low was around 30, and it stayed in that range for 6 months until September came. So something happened in September that jumped off the range, crossed 60, and that's where the run started.
What happened in September?
It must be some kind of news that came out at that time, most likely RAM related. And within 5 sessions, it went from 60 to 90, and it kept it going all the way to 100 within 2 weeks.
Hey, Ken.
This is Ken Smythe. I'll just jump in and make a comment. In the semiconductor DRAM industry for a number of years, and now I'm in embedded systems. With the acceleration of AI data centers, they are using high bandwidth memory, HBM, to keep up with the demand of GPU servers. Semiconductor manufacturers, Micron, Samsung, and Hynix, which is in South Korea, they're shifting their focus of their wafer fab allocation to support the HBM demand. That is squeezing the capacity available for traditional DRAM, which is DDR4, DDR5, as well as flash memory, which is used to build solid-state drives. That combined with the announcements over the last 4 months about NVIDIA's growth and large data center companies growing and investments happening, that's triggered the run up. In Sandisk, if you look at Micron as well, MU, that's had a heck of a run too. So bottom line is there is a serious shortage of capacity. The lead times are long and the prices have gone up quite a bit for traditional DRAM, like 2, 3, 4x. price increases in the last 2 to 4 months.
So we looked at the price of DRAM last month, which was like, we just couldn't believe how expensive DRAM was. Let's go to 32 gigabyte RAM. It's probably what, $200? And it's just crazy because 32 gigs of RAM has existed for a very long time already. And it's, wait, so you're saying DDR5 is no longer like the fastest, and there's something called HBMs that's even faster that AI hardware is actually using.
The big GPU servers going into new generation data centers are using HBM. Micron just announced last month, they have had for several decades retail division called Crucial Technology. They just announced they're closing that business because they want to take the fab capacity that was supporting that and build more HBM instead because it's a higher margin.
I remember someone talking about that, where consumers are not going to get as much RAM as they can anymore.
Correct.
And it's going to be more enterprise sales because enterprise can actually spend so much more money on the hardware.
Depending on where you're at in the ecosystem of the big guys are getting a fair amount, but the smaller companies are going to have a harder time, and it's projected to last for a year or more. But that's a big factor for what's driving the price of Micron. If you look at the market surge chart and the estimate for earnings in 2026, it's incredible.
Pretty much doubling, which is, in my opinion, crazy. It's not a software company where you can scale infinitely. It's a hardware company where a whole bunch of people needs to be involved to make it happen. My friend at Samsung told me this. Samsung RAM is not being sold to Samsung Electronics. They're actually being sold to someone else now because Samsung Electronics can't pay enough for their RAMs.
Yeah, it's unnatural. It's an unnatural market condition.
So hopefully that answered your question, Sophia. It was a little bit long-winded answer, but it was a very honest answer. Is that there was a huge and also consumer or enterprise demand that says, hey, we really need DRAM. I missed the announcement, but some people have probably got to pay attention to how the world economic is changing. What can we do on charts? Let's look at that. We can
input, Kim.
one more time, Stuart.
I was thanking Ken for his perspective and sharing that with us.
Yes, very much appreciated.
Do a quick search for high bandwidth memory, and a lot of articles will come up to give you more of an understanding. It's a new architecture of DRAM that's able to help keep up with the faster GPU processing capabilities. So it's a must-have for these GPU servers.
Micron's advertising it. This is actually quite new technology in 2020, 2013.
They started rolling it out, around, that's when it hit the market. They were developing it a couple years before. I used to work there. It started picking up in 2013. They needed to get the other DRAM manufacturers on board to have it be an industry standard architecture to support end customers in the market. That chart you're showing now is a great example of how fast the DDR5 pricing has gone up.
That's absolutely crazy. It's so that
Is SK Hynix publicly traded company? Samsung and Micron are the big three players in the industry.
I think SK Hynix is definitely public in Korea.
yes.
They're being very careful about building more wafer fab capacity because it takes a while and it's a lot of money. I don't know, 3-4 billion per fab. They did that in the mid to late 90s, and then the market turned, and it was this huge glut of supply, and they lost billions for many years. They're reluctant to build more capacity.
They've learned from the mistakes in the past. For people who are just listening, the graph we're looking at is the DDR5 5200 2 times 16 gigabyte RAM kits. Pretty much was at about 125 from July 2024 to September 2025. But in October 2025, it went up to, let's say, 140. And then in November 2025, went up to 180, 190. And then December 2025 went up to 410. Talk about a hockey stick.
The company I work for is headquartered in Taipei, and we get weekly updates on the market conditions of DRAM and flash. It's going up each week so far.
my favorite company, NVIDIA, might not be the darling anymore. It might be DRAMs for a little bit.
Yeah. So I think from an IBD perspective, the question I've got is Sandisk just reset with a new base, but it's pretty extended from the 200-day moving average. Is it going to keep going up abnormally and then come down quick? That's risky, maybe.
The whole conversation started as to how do we find the next Sandisk. As you can see in that particular chart of Sandisk, it made an all-time high breaking out of that whole range in September. And that was the clue that it's time to either enter or watch for a low-risk entry. If you miss the original entry in September, the entry was presented again in December.
So we're over here where Yogesh was saying the entry at the week of 0905.
Right. Because if you see, it made all-time high back then with a higher volume. And getting in was really difficult because it just kept going.
So my assessment is if you're going to get into Sandisk, you got to have a pretty wide stop loss.
Right now is not the time to get in. If you miss the entry in December or 2nd of Jan, that was just another entry point you would have got in. Now is not the time because now your stop will be extremely wide and it is highly volatile stock. So you might end up with a loss. So you don't want to do an entry.
What some people have done in the past is instead of doing a regular position, they do a half or a tenth of the position just to be in the stock so they can watch it. That way you can have a wider loss while risking the same amount of the portfolio. An easy one would be like a fifth of your position. If your regular stop loss is, let's say, 5%, that means you can actually do a 5% loss on that position before it affects your portfolio significantly.
Or if it's into thin options are an option.
So I actually did a reverse collar on Sandisk instead of buying the stock. Reverse collar is nothing but selling a put and buying a call without holding the stock. So it's a synthetic stock. I did it around December. My position was up 300% within 10, 15 days. But that's a risky bet if you don't understand options, and it could turn against you as well.
So still the question is, how do you find this stock? Let's say you're like me. I'm terrible at reading news.
Stock is very easy. Look at this stock. This stock is an IPO stock in 2025. It made an all-time high in September. That's your clue.
If I don't typically watch the stock, what I usually do is I actually go to stocks on the move list on IBD and see which stocks are going and just look through the list to see what's going on. You see a stock repeated multiple times, like Yogesh said, the clue is it beats the all-time high. Where you put a little alert over here, say for 58.36. Once it hits, take a look. If it's a gap up on a high volume, that's 300%. That's significant. Most stocks going 100% volume, it's not that common.
As a weekly routine, go through all the IPO stocks of that year, which has good dollar volume. So we'll say dollar volume greater than 50 million. Go through that list every week so you won't miss out.
I should have updated this to dollar volume, but yes, you can update it to dollar volume 50-day average and put the minimum to 15 million. I'm going to do that later because the numbers are always a little weird for me. So that was Sandisk. Any more comments? Any more questions on Sandisk?
Hey, Lee, this is Ken again. I'm not directly in the semiconductor industry, but the company I work for buys memory for the embedded systems that we market and sell. So I'm seeing what's happening in the DRAM and the flash market, and we also buy GPUs. The point I'm leading up to is I'm looking at companies in the AI ecosystem. Semiconductors is one sector, for example, Sandisk, Micron, LRCX, which is Lam Research. They make wafer fab equipment for the semiconductor industry. When these big semiconductor companies finally pull the trigger and say, we need to build more wafer fab capacity, they're going to buy equipment from these guys as well as some of their competitors. That's an example of an ecosystem segment tied into the growth of AI data centers.
That is true. If it does happen where companies are like, hey, now we're 2-3 years out in needing our RAM, that
Yeah.
will start building factories, then they're going to start buying from Lam Research.
The lead time for these fab systems from Lam Research can be long. It may take a year or so to build some of these big systems.
What comes before SanDisk? Like, is it just pure minerals that SanDisk is using to make it, or there's another company that supports it, or is there ancillary companies that support the manufacturing? Would that make money?
You can drill down to Sandisk needs test equipment. So Avantest is and Teradyne, they're in that ecosystem. And those are expensive equipment.
Is Avantest a publicly traded company?
Yeah, in fact, if you look down on Lam Research in terms of some of the top RS, right there you go. So you're looking at about 100% move here in the last 4 to 5 months.
That is massive. So that's mean it's all this semiconductor equipment factory. Lam Research, Avantest, probably laser tech too. That seem like testing software. Because I know in one point in my trading where it's like, who makes the money? Is it the hardware manufacturer like NVIDIA? Is it going to be the testing equipment to make sure that the equipment works? Is it going to be the material mining company? Who is the next big winner in this next AI cycle?
This is an OTC stock, so there won't be a lot of institutional buying into this.
Another competitor of Lam Research is KLA, and the ticker is KLAC.
And that's what Claude gave back for the response, pointing to Lam Research and KLA. Now back to you.
Yeah, because it's all like finding the right bucket to pick from. And that's part of the analysis. The big bucket is always the stock market. Then you go into the sectors, then the industries. And then after industries, you go into the tiny details to see what is going to be the next SanDisk of 2026. Where do we put our alerts onto the IPO stocks? Which list do we look at? Which filters do we put?
If you go through that list in IBD, what you will find is one is stocks like Sandisk, which is an IPO. So that's easy. You you go through IPO list every week with whatever filters you want and look for they're making all-time high on a very high volume. That's one. The second one would be to look for stocks making triple-digit EPS growth and triple-digit sales growth.
Yep.
In a basing pattern. That will be your second watch list. Go through that every week, slice and dice however you want if there are too many candidates. So that way you will find the second list. And there is a third list. I have 6 criteria in that list. One is your current EPS growth has to be greater than the last EPS growth year over year for the same quarter. You do that for EPS, you do that for sales, and then you also check if the earning EPS surprise is positive and the sales surprise is positive. And that will also give you a lot of stocks, filter further. But if you go through this list, that is what you will find, that when the stock starts its run, these are the factors that starts the run from their basis.
So what you're literally talking about, I think there was actually EPS growth last year, sales percent change over the last report year. There's at least going to be a little bit of growth, and you want to see if there's any sales surprise. I don't think IBD has any of the sales or EPS surprise. Oh, right here. So let's do that as a 0 minimum. Let's say there's a sales surprise, sales percent change. And of course, we can start narrowing this down to at least 25%. I'm just going to do everything 25% because I like that number. And then the annual EPS surprise, at least 25%. 159 stocks to choose from. I'm just calling it the Yogesh screen for now.
You forgot to add one more where current EPS has to be greater than the last EPS growth.
This one, the current EPS changed at least 25% over the last quarter. Is that similar?
But this is previous quarter, right?
Year over year.
Yeah.
I want year over year. So it's this one, EPS percent change last year versus 1 year ago.
That's the one that you already have. I don't think you have that here. So the EPS year over year, same quarter now could be greater than the same number last quarter.
Oh, you're
You get what I'm saying?
EPS percent estimate change for the next quarter, quarter over quarter. So it doesn't have it. I'm surprised they have estimates now.
Essentially, if you go through the whole list that IBD has created, or you can just go into Google and find what are the best performing stocks of 2025. If you go through them one by one, this is what you will find.
I can also narrow down my sales, my earnings a little more because I'm starting to get lower sales than I would like, or I can do some more technicals to narrow down the list.
Your other key criteria, you mentioned you use 6 criteria on that screen. I only heard 4.
The first criteria is EPS growth year over year, same quarter, should be greater than 0. Same for the sales growth, should be greater than 0. Then EPS growth for this quarter compared to last year over year, has to be greater than the last quarter year over year. Same thing for the sales, that should be greater than 0. EPS surprise of the latest quarter should be positive. The sales surprise of the latest quarter should be positive. So usually you will find that if the stock is basing and when it starts its run, these are the conditions that it has. If it's already moved and it's not in the buyable zone, then you just wait for the pullback or whatever, or just keep it on your watch list. And next time it gives you that opportunity, then you get in.
I don't like that one either. But I like the purple one.
Sometimes I end up having a stock on my watch list for 2 quarters.
Just got to be patient and wait for.
Yep, exactly.
I love these deep dives into hyper specific things inside industries. And Brian in the chat also says that. Okay, so we went through one stock. We still got some time, right? So the next stock that's on the list is Nutex Health and UTX. Let's see what's happening. In January 2025, it was basing. It reached 45%, went to another base, went up again until it just went sideways for the rest of the year. But it never went back down. It's breakouts. There's a high, goes the first stage, broke out in 1124, and by the time the second stage hits, I really like second stage breakouts. You can have a breakout alert or look at some of the screeners on investors.com or market search near highs and just take a look at what's breaking out. Press that space bar, go through the list, see what's going on. And that's how you get this one. Let's see if it was difficult to hold. And as you can tell, I'm just saying price action here. Second stage base, right? First stage breakout, we already know. Second stage is going up. I just want to confirm that the sales or the earnings was pretty good. This might have been an acquisition target. I'm debating if this is too thin to trade.
If you look at this one, let's say you did not enter in January, you waited, and then you ran your screen, and in March, it has triple-digit EPS growth, 4-digit sales EPS surprise, triple-digit sales growth, and double-digit sales surprise. The EPS growth in March is much bigger than the EPS growth in November. The sales growth in March is much bigger than the sales growth in November. That is why it jumped on the earnings and it broke out of the base. Then there were 2 days it went sideways on very high volume. And then it shoot up. So it went from 68 to 140 in like, what, 2 weeks?
Yes. 0407, 0422. 2 weeks. Thank you. Anyone have any specialty knowledge into Nutex Health or any comments on it?
This type of analysis is done investor.com specific event.
Any free tool works. TradingView works. Thinkorswim works. Market Search works.
Wherever you can get the EPS number, sales number, also it might not work because it doesn't have sales numbers to weigh in percentage terms. You can use TradingView. There are free scripts available. If you have MarketSmith, you can see that chart on the left. You can also do it on Trend Spider, not 100% sure.
This is another one to look at.
Finviz only gives you the latest quarter.
Oh, and also for trading view, you can make it look like MarketSmith. I haven't done it, but there's other people that have done it, and people say it worked pretty well. Has anyone used, is it called Deep View? It's the one by TraderLine.
There is one more chart mill. They also have all this information. And plus, they give you free credits every month, so you don't have to subscribe or pay for it necessarily.
So next stock we're going to be looking at is Light. Yeah, we're just going through the same stocks. What's going on? The year ended in 2024. It was, how did it do in 2024? About $50. Ended the year around $80, about 80% gains. Not too bad. It wasn't the greatest. We probably saw the release of 2023 and our EPS guidance is down. What we can do is take a look at a multi-year view. What was the previous high? Let's say about 100, 110, something around there. We're at 100, 110. And we're in the new year. And we just had a alert on Lumentum and on a new high because it's still a good company, telecom fiber optics. So let's say it hit right above this high after this little dip. How was volume? Volume was a little bit dry. That's actually not too bad, but price action kept going up. This one is not one of those traditional stocks where it's like, here's a base, here's a breakout. Hey, you understand the industry, you know what's going on, and you know that's breaking out.
If you want to know when the run started in 2025.
Run started pretty much at the fall through day, and you're looking at stocks. It made such a huge move that it's hard to see.
If you look at this, it dipped in April, which every other stock also did. But the earnings that came out in May, that is what you need to focus on. The earnings were double-digit EPS growth, double-digit sales growth, positive on EPS surprise, positive on sales surprise. The EPS growth is accelerating compared to the previous EPS growth. Same thing for sales, the formula I gave you, and it was breaking out of the base. And it crossed 200-day moving average, and there was a base, so you could have entered there. And then it just took off from there. It went from around 79 or 80 all the way to around 160. If you miss that entry, the next entry would be sometime in October where it went sideways. If you look at the August earnings, it is quadruple EPS growth, double-digit sales growth, again accelerating, EPS positive, sales.
It did. That's absolutely insane. The sales, if I looked at it, was negative until April happened. Then April just shot up like a monster. EPS was negative quarter over quarter. By the time October runs around, I gotta get in. This is a monster. I agree with you, Brian. The entry is very hard to do. These are huge bars. That's why Yogesh was saying around September, October, that was the only consolidations phase that was possible. That's a lower risk entry because a stock can easily reverse because market conditions could change. But internals do build up and market conditions can't change. If there's a stock that's burning my chest, there's a stock I really want to talk about. Ben is saying it's a high type flag. I think the poll is a little bit long for a high type flag over here, just to consolidate over here. Because we're really stretching the formula for a high type flag for such a long poll. So we ended the year with a bang. In 2020, in 2024, we're looking at sales all over the place, positive, negative, but it's honestly, the sales is still pretty much increasing. Yes, December was 350, then it's 330. I can't see below that. December EPS doing. You're right. These are that's not hard to get into for me because that's my religion. So I don't trade every stock. A negative, positive, and let's see what happens in January. In January, it consolidates, it That's like what happens April, it kind of it bottoms out because the whole market was dropping. And then we started getting a months not happening. Just like before. So about the background noise. We're gonna go to 2025 and we're gonna go September. We're gonna see right. So 2024, we're in April. We're starting to see higher highs, higher lows. We're starting to go up. And I think that's so nice. 2982, 2134. That was such major thing on it. Because the next thing about 10%. Once you go up, you can really want to go 500% volume, then look back. So right on this breakout at about $30.
I need that a lot.
So breakout $30, we go, and by the end of the year, a bit, and it's 50% off. Mia, if you're still here, what do you think? This looks like a huge hockey puck that goes up and just goes breaking down every single support level.
But it's trying to find a support now.
It is trying to find support. I think it actually found the support at 476.75.
Yeah.
It might be breaking out maybe today. A small mini breakout, not a huge traditional breakout.
We'll have to see how it does. I would like it to go sideways for some time. Volatile.
If you remember when I was talking about the NASDAQ, when we look at the daily, it's actually compressing a little bit. Right, and price compression, when it breaks out to the upside on its little volume, that's what we're trying to see. But as I was saying, even though NASDAQ's consolidating, the S&P 500 is biased towards the upside. I might end this meeting early today, unless people want to talk about other stocks, unless people want me to keep on talking about stocks on that top 10 list. What do people think? Let's end it a few minutes early. We're near the top of the hour at 6:52. I'll give a recap of what we talked about. And that was an awesome session. So what we went through today, overview of the best stocks in 2025, and multiple others have requested to be an Excel sheet. So I'll get this into Excel sheet so you guys can do your analysis. I'll give you the price percent gains of all of these and also all these numbers. And I'll double check to make sure my LLM did convert it correctly. We talked about Max 7, the performance. And what were you saying, Stuart?
Quick question, Haley. Can you share your leveraged ETF and see what it says about TQQQ?
So TQQ, you're talking about this trading view, right? So it's pretty much you're in cash position. I did confirm with Gary at the beginning of this meeting that it is in cash for TQQQ.
Okay. When did it turn to cash, out of curiosity?
It turned, you know what? We're just going to go directly to my trading view, because I can give you the exact thing. January 2nd, on both the high buy range weekly and the regular buy range weekly. And it's been cash ever since. That was a scary Friday. We also talked about how the leverage edge is doing phenomenal, 81% in 2025. Buy and hold was only 33% for TQQQ. We also shared economic news of how NASDAQ went up 20%, S&P was 16.4. I'll send it out along with that Excel sheet so people can read it without magnifiers. It won't be clear on Zoom. I share my growth list. And most importantly, if you're highly leveraged, making sure that the major events, it's on your calendars. I have an equity calendar for myself. I think I shared it on the Notion website. Everyone should be able to subscribe to that calendar so they can update their own Google Calendar if they use Google. Thank you for showing up today. Thank you for sharing your opinions. This group is made possible because of all the traders like you who do your own analysis, who come in with questions, who come in with, what should I do? Mia came in with, hey, I hold Credo right now. What do you guys think? It's like, we're a group of community. We're trying to help each other. None of us make money from this. We're trying to contribute and help each other live better lives. So thank you very much for coming. And I'll see you February on the 3rd week and February 19th. See everyone soon.
Thank you, Haley.
Thank you. Have a good trip.